Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brendan.
Yep, and we're going to get started. This week, we're going to talk about the week of August 26th to August 30th, and let's go ahead and start with the main thing that everyone's talking about, and that is the last scene on Friday, in which it appears as though Sonny shot Jagger. Brandon, I was shocked when I saw that because I was not anticipating that happening. I think you told me to kind of be on the lookout for something to watch, and I was really surprised that it went that far. What were your thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, well, first of all, I will point out that both of us were very spoiled for that, thanks to social media. So thank you, social media, but also for giving us the heads up. But nevertheless, though, yeah, having seen bits and pieces of the week, that's not really how I anticipated this week to go. Nor do I think that was the best way to wrap up that storyline. But I mean, it's something.
Yeah, it was something. Of course, I've read online. I don't know if some people think it's a dream. Some people just don't know in general. I was surprised that if it is something that they are going to follow through on, that is point blank like that, because it has been a long time since Sonny has done something kind of point blank. And I'm surprised they kind of want to take the character in that direction again because I don't know if there's a way to get out of this one.
Yeah, and also too that just earlier in this episode they were speaking all about Sonny's moral code, and it seemed like he was going to turn himself in for the crimes. That's where it seemed the whole week was leading up to. But having seen the scene and then rewatched some of the portions of this week's episodes, I suppose it does sort of also back up the theory that this was always the plan. But I guess this is the end of Jagger, maybe, possibly.
I know we don't know. And then the other thing that's kind of well, in the previews anyway, they have Jason on in the previews for the upcoming episode. And I told you, I said, I hope this is not something that they want Jason to take the fall for because I don't want it to go in that direction.
Yeah, and even for it being sunny, I mean, one of the things that I think that had intrigued me about this whole stretch of time, over this past month and a half, is that I mean I know normally the nice General Hospital super couple of Sunny and Carly have generally been dominant, whether or not they're together or not. But I think Sunny and Alexis have been the true pro parents per se throughout this last month or so, at least since we've been doing these videos. And so, but something that has intrigued me though is that Alexis and of course her daughter Molly are all about the law, and that's where we've been heading. And even Jagger wanting to weekly take down Sunny. Um, and it seemed that up to this point, up until the scene exactly, that seemed like Sunny wanted to take down Jagger through the law, strip him of his badge, and see him thrown into prison. And then I think we're just kind of robbed of that, and we just kill him off quite literally.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not quite sure where they're taking this. Hopefully, there's a different route in which they plan to go. But like I said, I was surprised. It's been a long time since there's been a Friday, except for the fall, that of Christina, and I guess now that's figuratively as long as literally. That it has ended like this.
Yeah, and this is not the only storyline of the week. I know even Christina is even in a much darker place than she was before.
Yeah, she is. And I'll talk about this a little bit in my highlights a little bit. But at the end of the scene, also, Christina went to Sonny's apartment and she has taken his gun. And we don't know what she plans to do with that. Based upon the timing, it wouldn't look like that she was there at the same time as Sonny. Um, but because in the previous show, her at the graveside. So I'm not quite sure where they're going with that part either.
But yeah, but overall, a lot to process. I'm looking forward to more, hopefully lighter General Hospital going forward. But nevertheless, Mom, I guess we can go ahead and unless you have any more comments, I guess we can dive into this week of General Hospital for a Port Charles chat.
Yep, so I'm going to go into the highlights now. Besides, of course, the big scenes like we just talked about. Lulu has been a main topic for this week, and Lulu needs a liver transplant. And I touched on this a little bit last week. And the first person they really tested was Nicholas because when Nicholas was much younger and Lulu was a baby, Nicholas was able to provide, I believe, a bone marrow transplant to her sister. And so they already knew that they were a blood match. However, because of some of the harm that's going on with Nicholas's body and things like that over the course of the years, Nicholas at this point in time is not, I won't say match, but not a viable donor for the liver transplant at this time. So, of course, everyone wants to contribute to be a donor transplant. Um, Dante is really does not know what to do, um, because he's kind of because he has been, and I don't want to say divorced from Lulu, but because he's not been with Lulu for the last few years, um, and he's now involved with Sam. He just doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what people are thinking about him. He's just confused in general. And so, which brings up the subject of Sam, because we've read online that Sam is leaving. Of course, all of what we've read online, we don't know anything. And and so, of course, when I first heard that, the first thing I said was, "Oh gosh, he's going to be the liver donor for Lulu." They have not said what Sam's results are right now, um, but that would be my guess and prediction. Brandy, any comments about Lulu?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, that was definitely one of my thoughts as well. And I kind of figured we were going to go in this direction because when we saw, Lulu's body just a few weeks ago, as I believe Laura was visiting her, if I'm correct. But yeah, so it's interesting to see how this goes. And I know you had read somewhere that a new actress might be coming in for Lulu. We don't know anything about that yet, but um, I'm intrigued to see where exactly this is going. This sort of timeline of this. Will this be like a heroic save storyline that we're gonna see, similar to what we had with the Ice Princess just a couple years ago? Where that's becomes the whole storyline, um, or what? But I'm hoping for another grand General Hospital moment. But in terms of uh, Lulu, though, yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. And to touch on what you're mentioning about Molly, though, um, not Molly, about Sam, is that we had a different actress for Sam for a little bit of last week, even though we had the usual actress earlier in the week.
Yeah, we did. We did. I will say the new actress, she blends in to me pretty well. She it was kind of seamless. She came in, and then next thing you know, the other Sam's back. So they just kind of go back and forth, which is kind of interesting to watch. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit is with the Sam storyline. Also, if she does end up being the donor, I don't know if they're trying to recreate a moment that you never saw, but when Maxie was little, I think I told you that her cousin was the one who gave her a heart transplant. And so I don't know if they're trying to get that type of storyline again either. That was very touching when they did the Maxie storyline from, many, many years ago. But regardless, it'll be interesting to see where they go with the Lulu storyline. And then even beyond that is what do they have planned for Lulu? Because her character, like I said, has not been on the show for roughly about 3 years. It's been seen, but not necessarily being an active, person on the show. All right. And then let's move on to Willow and Drew. What's going on with them is that McConkey has recently passed away. Drew finds this out after he gives one of his speeches, and Willow is there to comfort him. Um, that is, well, one of the storylines that I've told you before. I really don't like. I don't like the direction it's going. I thought that Willow. I think it's kind of a forced relationship because I really didn't see any sparks that were there. I really think that Willow and Michael are the better couple together. I'm not sure why they want to break them up, but at this point in time, that's where they're looks like that's where they're leaning. Um, then we're going to lean back into Christina again. Christina has been at home for a little bit, and she has now been arrested again, once more by Jagger. Jagger is now going to file a manslaughter charge for the death of her child, onto the many charges that he's already said that Christina needs. And so Alexis, of course, is fighting for her daughter, and Alexis does speak to Sonny, and Sonny agrees to turn himself in, and maybe he can barter a little bit with Jagger. And he said Sonny did ask if he could speak to his family first because they were all going to be at the Quartermains, and he wanted to speak to each of his children, and then from there he was going to turn himself in. Then of course that leads to where we talked about earlier. Um, And then to change gears one more time, Lucky. Lucky's back. Of course, this is Lulu's brother. And Lucky is being held hostage. And I have to use that loosely because I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. But anyway, he's being held. He can't get out of wherever he is at this point. And so, but he was with the gentleman named Isaiah, who is a doctor. And Isaiah was able to escape per se, but Lucky is still there, and right now he's playing cards with the guard. And so that's where they kind of left that out at. And of course, Laura wants to get to Lucky as soon as she can because he could be a possible donor for his sister. And so Scorpio has done some research and he tells Laura exactly where Lucky is. And he's somewhere in East Africa, I believe. And so Laura has gone to East Africa. I'm not quite sure how she's going to do this to go and find Lucky, which I'm sure she'll be able to do. And so and basically that was General Hospital for the week. Brandon, did I leave anything out? Oh, I'm sorry, I did leave one thing out. Rick and Alexis, they argue over Molly because Rick does not believe that Alexis is giving Molly enough attention during this time period. But other than that, Brandon, did I leave anything else out?
Well, we did leave Ava hostage.
Oh, I forgot about Ava. How could I forget about Ava? Ava is being held hostage, but I'm kind of amused by the storyline. So Ava's being held hostage by one of, and we have to once more use it loosely because Ava did go on her own with Jagger. Jagger said that she will be in protective custody, or however, whatever term he used, and so she is just following along with this. But Ava, being Ava, she has realized that this lady. She dresses really nicely. She has expensive, I believe, sunglasses. And Ava said, "Oh no, you are not a guard." so, so Ava realizes that she's being held against her will.
But yeah, I mean, overall, that is the gist of it, and I'm sure that we missed some bantering of some other people here and there, such as with Heather Weber and that Rick is now the lawyer.
Oh yes, Rick is not the lawyer for Heather Weber, which was interesting to find that out because, as I kind of mentioned before to you, Rick is a devious person. And so whereas Scotty wouldn't have won the case, Rick might win the case.
But yeah, but I think overall that is the gist of General Hospital for this week.
All right, let's get to our categories, Brandon. Storyline of the week. For me, I don't want to concentrate necessarily on storyline. I want to concentrate on a scene, which I found very intriguing. And that's the scene of Molly and Dex. I was surprised to see them together, and it was not a forced scene for me. I like the way that Molly and Dex spoke to each other. I like that Dex was very concerned about Molly. I like the way that Molly opened up to Dex, and I I just thought they did a really nice job together. Brandon, did you have a storyline of the week or did you have a scene of the week?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to touch a little bit as to, for me, I feel like this week can be thrown into, like, for instance, like the Alexis category in the sense of her dealing with both of her, well, two of her three daughters, and trying to figure out their legalities, and of course the Sunny. Then you also have the Lulu story, which ties into the Lucky storyline as well. But yeah, I will 100% agree with you that that Dex and Molly, I think that was just such a great one, and especially considering how patient Dex was. I mean, I really really enjoyed that, and seeing them together, and I feel like it actually sort of tied into the whole week. I feel like just that caring, looking after one another. That seems like to be the overall theme of this week. Last week, I think, was all family. We had a lot of um, parents and child relationships last week. Something I meant to mention last week's discussion, but this one just felt like family and confiding in one another.
Yes, and to kind of go along with that, also, Molly had a nice scene with Alexis, also, and so I kind of like that scene. I know you had a different thought about that scene a little bit, but I did like the scene afterwards when Molly did speak to Alexis, and she did ask those pointed questions to her mother, and I like the way Alexis handled the situation and how she kind of responded to her questions and she told the truth.
Yeah, I definitely liked it too, and I know what you're referring to, so the audience will know is that I feel like we didn't get the full conversation. Like for instance, when Rick came up to Alexis and was just like, "Your daughter really needs you," and she wasn't really believing him per se, or rather wanting him to be right. And then when Molly came to speak with Alexis, I mean, they were having a nice, candid conversation and asking the tough questions, but the main question of the "Mom, I need you," we didn't see that on screen, and then Molly's just gone in the next episode, and Alexis is still where she was.
Yeah, and that's something that we're finding now within the course of the last 2 to 3 weeks, that there are a lot of unanswered scenes or scenes that just aren't there. And so, or they'll refer to a scene that took place off camera. Um, but yes, so that was my storyline or scene of the week. As for performer of the week, I have two. First of all, I have Alexis because I think she's just torn, and I think she's doing a good job of just showing that she's a torn mother and doesn't know what to do. But at the same time, she's fighting for both her kids at the same time. So I really like the way they're working with Alexis. And then the other person I thought was Ava, because I was just rather amused by Ava. And so, you know, I thought they both did a good job. How about you, Brian?
Okay, so first of all, I definitely, agree with those. I think those are great. But the ones I actually wrote down, though, where I wrote down two, and the
Okay.
first one I did was Dex for what we mentioned as our sort of scene of the week, just because I really
Mm,
thought he was just really caring and patient and passionate, especially even when he was helping out Christina, like what
mm.
being with her and with the handcuffs and just being gentle with her. I thought that was nice. And then the other one, I actually said Tracy Quartermain. Um,
Oh,
the reason I said that one is because we really get to see her care for Lulu and willing to help out, even though it goes way out of her comfort zone. And now she's going to be the caretaker of Ace, uh, while while Laura and Kevin go out to go find Lucky. And I really like the conversation that Tracy and Laura were able to have alongside Tracy and Dante. And so, yeah, those are my two, but I definitely agree with your two because uh, definitely Ava has been just amazing throughout this week. And uh, and yeah, and I forgot who was your other person.
Alexis and Ava.
Yes, yes, and as I mentioned in my previous mention for Alexis, I think she just portrays it really well.
Yeah, and Tracy, I like the character transformation they're doing with Tracy. They're just doing a really nice job. And who knew that Tracy would be like the grandmother type slash auntie type of person? So they're doing a really nice job with that. As for amusing moments of the week, Carly actually amused me when she was speaking to Rick. I think it was just a look on her face, because I do remember Rick holding Carly hostage years ago, and so just the look on his her face, and then also when she kind of made fun of that too. And then the other amusing moment, of course, as I talked about, was Ava, as she was kind of acting like an amateur detective trying to figure out whoever this lady is that's kind of holding her. And did you have an amusing moment?
Yeah, so mine was definitely Ava across the board. I mean, from her, seeing like, well, you can't afford this in the government salary, and trying to contact her daughter, which her again, like we're saying, conversations that were skipped. They mentioned that she contacted her daughter Avery, but we never actually saw that, so we don't know the timeline of when exactly that was. Was that when she was held hostage in the hotel room? But anyway, but it was just sort of hilarious, especially when they were in the car, her and the fake FBI agent. I forgot what her name is, and they were trying to fight for control of the car. It's like you're here to get rid of me, aren't you? It's like, no, I'm not letting that happen.
Yeah, I know. And then she got a hold of her phone too to see where they were going. And what's interesting, you mentioned about Ava calling Avery. She made a point of saying that she didn't have a phone because Jagger took her phone, or she took the phone. I don't know. Someone took her phone, so she didn't have a phone to make phone calls. So, yeah. As for my fast forward moment of the week, Brandon, it is Willow and Drew. I hesitated a little bit on that one because I would like to know where this ends up, but at the same time, I don't care. So, it would be Willow and Drew would be my fast forward moment for this week. How about you?
Okay, so I have two different ones. And first of all, to comment on Willow and Drew, I liked the scenes on the day that we learned of McConkey's passing. I like that.
Hmm.
I thought that was appropriate. I mean, appropriate because she's a nurse. She wants to make sure her patients,
Hmm.
are treated well. Although the whole thing that I believe led to a kiss on Friday's episode, that yeah, I didn't need to see all that. But I thought the Thursday one was touching. Um,
Hmm.
However, for me, in the fast forward moments I have two of them. One of them was Dante and Carly's fighting, just because uh, it was like Dante was just trying to change the past, whereas Carly had largely moved on, and I just thought it was just very unnecessary with that. And then the other one I'll say is to me the disturbing moment, and that is, like I said, uh, Sonny presumably killing Jagger at the end. I didn't need that to end the week. We've had a lot of heavy episodes of General Hospital lately since we started doing this, but uh, hopefully we can just get a break a little, please.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we will. And then I've got a welcome back moment. Welcome back, Olivia. She has been missing for a long time. So, did you notice any characters who kind of? Well, there was one other character. One of the nurses popped back. Did you notice any of the characters that kind of popped back this week?
Uh, I'm not necessarily to the best of my knowledge, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely been interesting seeing that. I guess even though we've seen both Curtis and Portia, I feel like this is one of the first times that we've actually seen them, sort of together for a moment that, like, with them actually speaking, because we've seen them like in the same room, but we haven't seen them sort of together as a couple in a while. So I'm glad that we have that again. And both of them said they don't mind if they lose their jobs; they want to just be with each other.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess welcome back to them also. And then, as for what do I want to know or what do I want to see next on General Hospital, I'd like to see what they're doing with Lucky and when he will escape. Hopefully, they won't torture us for much longer with him being held captive, and that way he can have a storyline. Isaiah, I want to know who he is and who he's related to. I've read some things. I don't want to quite say what I've read so far. Like I said, all hearsay about what people have written online. But I'd like to see where they plan to take Isaiah and what role he will have. Ava, she was in a possible car accident, so of course we want to know what happened. And then Isaiah was actually in the way also. So was he hit or was it just a near miss or what happened there? And then, of course, Jagger, because we want to know what really happened. Demi, did Sonny really shoot him, or was it just a scene that was just there, and Sonny imagined himself doing it, or what? And then Willow and Drew, just in the sense of will they get caught? I know that Michael's looking for them. He's going back to the gatehouse. They're not at the gatehouse, but the question is, when will they get caught, or will James say something about them, or at this point in time will Sasha say anything about them? She kind of knows what's going on too. And so those are my what do I want to know. What do you want to know, Brandon?
Yeah, well, definitely to add on to those, I kind of want to see, like I said earlier, this whole couple months have all been about, like the law, for instance, and and holding people accountable. And it seems at this point highly unlikely we're going to ever see Jagger being held accountable. But I would like to see Sonny held accountable at this point. Um, and I would actually want to see, uh, since Anna mentioned that she wants to do it, but she wants to do it the right way, unlike Jagger. I kind of actually want to see Anna actually take control and and do it the right way. And so yeah, I definitely would want to see that. But I want to see, of course, Jason also have his own life again.
Mm-hmm.
Not just be stuck to whatever Anna wants to do or whatever Sonny wants to do, or Carly for that matter. That he can actually spend the time with his kids. Because didn't he say his kid's supposed to go back in just a couple of weeks? I mean, I think that time's passed now.
Yeah, he's talked about his son going to college. It'd be his first time, and yeah, college is in theory started for people. So yes, so it would be nice it would have been nice to have a scene because they did it off camera of Jason being with his son. We've seen with one son, but not with both of them. And I'd like to actually see both boys together. I think that would be a great. It would be great if he could have both of his children together.
Yeah. But I did want to add too for Ava. I really want to see a big Victoria scene with her, but I here's the way I kind of want to play it. I don't think it will happen, but wishful thinking. For all the charges that are put on Christina, because even with Jagger out of the picture, the charges aren't really going away. Um,
Hmm.
I kind of actually want to see Ava be the one to save Christina.
Yeah, and Ava might do that. Ava has said she would never harm a child. Um, and so when Ava's free from whatever this woman is doing, she might come back later, especially realizing what Jagger wants to do to her, that she's actually safer with Sonny of all people.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm definitely, like I said, very excited to see all of that and to figure out where exactly Scotty went.
Yeah, Scotty, who's MIA. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, we mentioned this last week, but we heard that he had phone conversations with people, and he called up Rick to take over his client list. But the fact that nobody has actually heard from him, did Rick have anything to do with him disappearing? I mean, we don't know anything.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see when. And now, I will say Scotty has disappeared before, and he tends to pop right back up. So it'll be interesting to see what he says when he pops back up again.
But yeah, and I will add too that that we didn't mention is that Brennan is sort of stuck in the middle. He is helping out begrudgingly, helping out Laura find Lucky, and now Anna wants to use Brennan to go find Charlotte. So who will be the one, like I said, to save Lulu? And like you said, maybe it'll be Sam.
Yeah, it might be Sam. And let's see. And we'd be interested to hear what people want to say. Please write it in the comments. And if you're watching, we know you are because we can see the numbers. Please feel free to subscribe so you can see us talk about or see or hear us talk about General Hospital each week. And we thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, and we hope that you watch with us, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bye everybody.